How do you fit basically everything into a garden on 300 square meters, a cottage, a greenhouse, colorful flower beds and vegetable beds? Good morning, my dear friends. Greetings from Bemowo in Warsaw. We are at the Allotment Gardens. For the first time in the history of the Wow Garden project, I want to show you an allotment garden. How is it arranged? What is its history? Because I know that many of you don't have such a big, real garden. Just a small piece of land that you can make use of. Today we came to Maja so she could tell us her story. If you want to stay up to date with all the information and new episodes, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and let us know if you have Arad plots or maybe you had them somewhere before. And I'm waiting for your other comments too, whether you're part of the Wow Garden team with us. Hi Maja. Hi. I'm really glad we made it to you because this is the first so-called Rhodos garden in the history of the Wow Garden project.
I'm very honored. I'm glad you're here with me. I hope you'll like it. I really want to show you what you can find in Rhodos, maybe something a bit unusual.
So let's go, we'll sit down and you'll tell us your story.
Please, come in.
Maja, tell me, where did the idea to develop an allotment garden even come from? How did it happen for you?
This allotment was a surprise in my life. I kind of adopted it, actually. It's a plot that belonged to my husband's family. There was no one willing to take care of it.
Impossible.
Yes, for my husband, it was a very sad duty to come once or twice at least during the season to mow that plot so it would look somewhat decent. It was a real wilderness. There were lots of wild animals here. The whole area was all dug up. And I came here with him once and I felt a bit sad that this area was so neglected. And since I actually grew up around allotment gardens because my parents, grandparents, and uncles all had plots, so I guess some gene just kicked in.
And it just so happened that you showed up here and started doing something. Yes. So how long have you been active here? Has it been 10 years now?
So I've been interested in this for about 10 years, but actually because we also had another plot before, we've been active on this plot for 6 years, and for the last 3 years we've been really active.
And when you actually started working here, did you already have an idea in your head of what it should look like? Did you have some kind of plan for it, a project, or did it all just happen spontaneously?
Not at all. It happened spontaneously, and it still happens spontaneously to this day. At the beginning, my parents helped too, and of course they tried to share a bit of their own ideas here, like how to plant the plants. At first I didn't know much. I gained knowledge gradually and I'm still learning. So for me, it's like an idea is born and then I make it happen. There's no big plan.
So spontaneity, yes, although I think it's fair to say that with such small spaces, there is spontaneity, but there still has to be some kind of plan.
And I realized that a lot needs to be changed here, that some of my initial ideas weren't good. And only now do I feel that there has to be some kind of framework for organizing the plot, but at the beginning it was total chaos.
Great. So in a moment you'll tell us about these frameworks and what's happening now, and you'll show us what you have there on that plot.
All right, come on in.
Since this is a Rhodos garden, which means a family allotment garden, the area is usually smaller than in classic gardens. How much space do you have here to really express yourself?
We have just under 300 square meters here.
Just under 300 square meters. And what do you have in those 300 square meters? What zones or specific areas do you have, if you could tell us?
I dedicate most of this space to flowers. However, we also have a small relaxation area by the house, a side terrace that we added. On the other side, we are currently creating a utility area so that it all looks good too. But mainly flower beds, flowers and plantings.
You have a small greenhouse and you have raised beds which are for cut flowers, right?
Yes, for cut flowers and for dahlias.
So maybe let's start with why you chose this kind of layout. Because we're standing in a place where there are 3 paths, like 3 rivers running through it. Why did you do it this way? Why didn't you go with having a lawn in the middle?
A lawn just doesn't work here at all. I love flowers, so the idea was to create as much space for plants as possible, but when we built the greenhouse, we really changed this area a lot. We made the paths so that it's comfortable to move around, and at the same time, they started to serve a decorative function and marked out new flower beds for us because the place we're standing in was created a year ago. So this is the youngest part of the garden.
So they divided up the space for you. And since you have this kind of division, did you decide that, for example, in one flower bed, there will be plants of certain colors, or maybe some bigger perennials, or is it more of a mix?
Now it's a bit of a mix, but the initial idea was that there would be hydrangeas and roses here. But as you can see, it's happening slowly. The roses aren't really moving here, they're flowing along those rivers into other parts of the garden. So I think it will end up being a mix of perennials, hydrangeas, and roses.
And have you thought about adding some evergreen plants or not?
I really miss that in the winter, so I'll be thinking about it a lot in the near future.
Exactly. Speaking of which, since we're already here and you mentioned you missed something in the winter, tell me, how often are you here at the allotment? Is it every day, or what does that usually look like?
When I have time outside of work, it's every day because it's really close to my house and it's the place where I relax best. But during busy times, when I have less time to spend at the allotment, I try to come here about twice a week to water what needs to be watered because sometimes being near the forest, the garden lacks water.
It's great that you're talking about this because sometimes people are afraid to have a little piece of land of their own. You know, they think they'll have to be there every day, day after day, but as you can see, even with flower beds like these, you don't have to be there every day. There are also some solutions, like you could set up some kind of watering system. So do you recommend that if someone has the opportunity, they should make use of it?
I believe that you can make flower beds that are somewhat self-sufficient and, for example, go on trips because we also travel a lot, so drip lines are definitely a great solution. We don't have them yet, but I would also like to have them to support the plants. But I think that if we choose the right plants, we can have a garden that we don't have to worry about every day.
And I haven't asked you this yet. Did you do all this by yourself or did you have some help?
With my husband's reluctant help. Obviously, when it comes to plants, that's more my area, but sometimes with the heavier work that needs to be done, my husband helps me out. I always try to plant a little seed in him, hoping that love for the garden will sprout. I think it's slowly working, but I don't think I'll convince him to work with me in the flower beds.
And it's worth it because, as my motto says, dirty hands, clear mind. So I agree. Maybe that'll convince him.
I'm trying constantly.
We're in an area where you have, well, these mini, let's say, raised beds, but you could say that there should be vegetables in those raised beds.
Theoretically, yes.
Why aren't they here?
but I'm more of a flower person. Maybe someday I'll be ready for those vegetables, but for now I decided to use the crates this way, also because of things like dahlia diseases. That's a problem in my garden, that sometimes the tuber has crown gall, and to avoid having that in the flower beds, it's easier to change the soil here. So I decided to grow them in crates and pots this year.
Okay, in the second pot you have a mix of biennial and annual plants, right? Because you have some larkspur here. Do you pick the flowers at all?
That's exactly what I was missing in previous years. I always felt bad picking them from the flower beds. But this year I set aside a special box just for these bouquets, and I also think it looks nice as a little area in my garden.
Listen, if you want to see more shots from my garden, I encourage you to check out my social media on Instagram. What's it called?
Rodos w lesie.
Rhodos in the Forest. But Maja also has her own YouTube, and there it's also Rhodos in the Forest. It's the same, easy to remember. Rhodos in the Forest. Once you see it, you'll definitely be delighted, but I still have a question. Do you encounter any huge problems here in your garden that you can't handle?
There are a few problems because this is an old plot surrounded by forest. We have a lot of roots, so I couldn't arrange every area the way I wanted. When we were building the house, our big walnut tree next to it had so many roots spread out in such a way that it was really hard for us to even make a foundation there. There's a lot of couch grass, so
Couch grass is something I hate.
it's not really working for me. We're currently trying micro clover, and I have very high hopes for it. But wild boars are showing up.
Oh, right, we have a lot of animals. I wanted you to talk about those animals because since you're here by the forest, do animals show up?
Yes, animals show up very often. I watch them on a little camera. It's also kind of my hobby. Here we even have a raccoon. There are badgers, hedgehogs, so also because of these animals. I avoid chemicals in the garden because I want to belong in this forest. Simply, I am a guest here, not these animals, so I also try to make sure that this garden is in harmony with nature.
Off camera, you told me that a moose shows up here somewhere and that it's so close, so close.
Yes, he even poked his head over the fence here once, but he's very calm and is simply our neighbor.
I can already imagine what would happen if he came into this garden.
Probably nothing would be left.
Let's keep our fingers crossed that he doesn't come around this garden too much, and now we're going somewhere else. Maja, when we arrive, we're basically popular guests of the Wow Garden Project participants, so we bring gifts. From our partners, we have various products, and now from Allegro. Listen, I ordered something for you, especially for you, because I know how important it is to save water, and thanks to drip systems, we use less water, but it's more efficient. So that's how it is, a system. I hope your plants will thank you.
This will be useful. The hydrangeas will be happy.
Perfect. But I also know that you've started working with vegetables, so this is a great product to help keep those tomatoes in check a bit. Here you go. Thank you very much. And maybe if you ever have cucumbers and beans, a net like this will come in handy.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and I still have one more gift I'm sitting on. Listen, this is a portable little bench that quickly turns into a great tool for weeding comfortably and getting back up quickly.
Well, it's excellent.
Sometimes it's hard to get up from those crouched positions.
I know something about that, yes. Unfortunately, I'm constantly squatting, so maybe I'll change my habits. Thank you.
I'm counting on it.
Thank you very much.
My dear friends, Allegro is a place where you can find a lot of products for your garden. As you can see, from irrigation systems to something for tying up tomatoes and even smaller and larger garden tools. But if you want to make a larger purchase, remember that you can use an option like Allegro Pay, which allows you to postpone the payment by 30 days. Or spread it out into very convenient installments. As we mentioned, traditionally allotment gardens are associated with gardens full of food, vegetables, and so on. You have it differently, but still somewhere there's a little patch. That greenhouse, when did it appear?
Last year in the spring.
But despite that, there are some controversies with that greenhouse. Tell me about them.
Yes, well, when the greenhouse appeared, usually curious neighbors peek in to see what's changing, especially when the plot has a new owner, for example, and they watch all this development. So they were watching how our greenhouse construction was going, and it was a bit controversial that we have a floor. How can there be a floor in a greenhouse, and where will the tomatoes be? There were questions right away.
But actually, in many greenhouses, especially those somewhere in Western Europe, there is such a floor. And even with the floor, you still have vegetables. Yes. How did it happen that you have them?
Tomatoes, peppers. I decided that I needed that classic allotment vibe. It's nice to have your own tomato. Last year I grew my own tomatoes for the first time. This year I'm a little bit wiser. I've learned a lot. And they're in pots. I'm also testing different pots, some with supports. I'm tying them up, so I'm still learning how to grow tomatoes.
But was this greenhouse meant for vegetables from the very beginning, or not really?
This greenhouse is year-round. That's how I treat it. Right now there are vegetables and there's a small seating area. In the fall, it's a little lounge where we can, for example, have some tea. In the winter, I store plants here. I protect them from cold weather and wind. In the spring, I have seedlings here, so it actually serves many functions for me.
So it's not just used for a certain period, but throughout the whole year. And what? Would you recommend putting up greenhouses on allotment plots? Does that help?
Absolutely. I think it also makes the space more visually appealing, but it's also very functional. I actually find it much easier to store those plants in the greenhouse, especially in winter.
And since we're here, because I asked about any failures with the boxes, now I'd like to hear if you've had any successes in gardening.
You know, I actually think it's gone in such a nice direction, and every year the garden develops so much that the success is that it's moving forward. I didn't expect that it would turn out this way. Of course, I still see a lot of imperfections here, like there's too much empty space in places and not enough flowers. Of course, they get sick, different pests appear, but I think the biggest success is that I still come here with joy and get so much out of this little garden.
Oh, great, great. I didn't expect that kind of answer, but it's great. And personally, I think that a huge success is that by building such a garden on a small rod plot, you are showing it to a wider audience. And you are encouraging people to create their own little places like that because it's absolutely necessary.
I'm passionate about plants and flowers and share this enthusiasm with everyone I can.
Bravo! Listen, you have a garden by the forest, so those trees probably draw out everything they possibly can from here. Do you use any fertilizers, or do you feed the plants because of that?
That's true, I do feed them, but naturally, so manure and meal-based fertilizer are my main boosters for the plants.
Plants need boosters, so it's really good that we have things like granulated manure or meal-based fertilizer. We brought you a gift from our next partner, from the company Sumin. So I hope it will be useful and that you'll be able to feed those plants even more.
Thank you.
Do you ever actually relax in your garden?
My husband relaxes in this garden and I relax by staying active. I can't sit still.
You can't sit still. I see you have a deck chair here under one of the 2 trees you have, I think. What kind of tree is it?
This is our old cherry tree, which we inherited in this garden from our grandparents. Here it is. I'll be honest, I wanted to remove everything here when I first came, but my husband wanted to save these bushes and trees from our grandparents. And it's a good thing I didn't listen to myself back then, because now it's here. Not only do I have my own compote fruit to eat, it's also a place where bird feeders hang in the winter, such a beautiful color.
Yes, since you wouldn't even have anywhere to hang a bird feeder.
Exactly. So the birds really benefit from it. We have squirrels running wild around here, so it's also a decorative element for us, but it also serves the animals.
In the garden, while your husband is relaxing and you're working hard, you probably also refill those pots that are here on the terrace, because you have quite a lot of annual plants for such a small space. And tell me, where do you actually get your plants from? Is it that you have everything planned, you go to a nursery and buy them, or do you get plants in other ways too?
I have my favorite garden store nearby, so I like to stop by there, sometimes even a few times a week, to see what's new, but I also bring back a lot of plants as souvenirs. Oh, that's great! From different trips from various parts of Poland, so whether it's roses or perennials, I often find something somewhere else that isn't available in my nursery, so I bring back all sorts of plant souvenirs. Oh,
Where did they come from recently?
from Olsztyn, for example.
Olsztyn. Oh, we're actually in Warsaw, but the plants from Olsztyn appeared on the Rhodos allotment. It's great that this could be the way to go, that instead of bringing, I don't know, fridge magnets, you can bring plants. They also look nice in the space where you live, because after all, you spend a lot of time here.
Yes, and then I look at the flower beds and remember those trips, and I'm happy that the plants are doing well.
Great. I feel like in every garden, especially in smaller gardens, extra pots are really useful. And as you can see behind us, there are plenty of those pots. That's why, from our partner Jagram company, I'm bringing you this raised pot, a raised bed, in which you can actually plant anything you want. They can be cut flowers, but they can be other plants too. What could they be? Herbs. I can plant herbs here, right? And they'll be great. So when you come with your husband to chill in that area you're planning, you can pick a little bit of mint.
Or basil, which is decorative too, right? Yeah, that's true.
And you can make pesto with basil.
So that's great. Thank you very much. I'm glad.
So it's always useful, and you can move it and put it in different places. I think it will work.
Thank you very much.
My dear friends, there are plenty of useful products for the garden on the Jagram website. Some help us plant things and others are decorative. So if you would like to use their products, Jagram has prepared a 10% discount for all viewers. You just need to click the link in the description of this video or enter the code Hubert Lemansky. My dear friends, let me know if you like this kind of allotment garden. And of course, let me know if you like our new quick question format, because now it's time for us to move on to these quick questions. So the first question is for Maja. Do you prefer the garden in early spring or maybe in September?
In early spring,
Why?
more excitement after winter.
Oh, great. If you had to choose one color that could be in your garden, let's say everything else is green, which one would it be?
Pink, definitely. I think I have the most pink plants.
So pretty classic like most women.
Maybe.
If you work in the garden, is it at the crack of dawn at 6 a.m. or maybe just before sunset?
At the crack of dawn. I love that moment when nature wakes up too, and I just get energized for the whole day then.
You mentioned that you miss having some evergreen plants in your garden. So here's a question. If you had to choose between cherry laurel and yew, which one would it be?
Definitely yew. I have very good memories of it. It grew in front of my school and I just like its shape.
As you can see, my dear friends, even in a small garden, you can do a lot and create many different zones. But I have another question about this, because besides what has already been done and what can be done, maybe Maja still has some plans?
Yes, in this small garden, there's still a little corner where I would like to create a water-themed relaxation area. That means building a small gazebo where there will be an inflatable jacuzzi. It's a dream for both me and my husband.
I think, that's a shared point to do quickly. A joint decision, because all the others are also shared, but this one is yours.
Positions, and they are not to be rejected.
Listen, of course we'll be here in 2 months, so maybe we'll be able to make this wish come true. I always call it a wish. And I remind you that if you want to see more from Maja's garden, check out her social media. And we're saying goodbye. See you next time.